Hi, I'm Starborn. Remember, to be a star, you have to shine your own light, follow your own path, and not be afraid of the darkness, because that's when stars shine brightest. Every year at the start of the year, I do 2 shows that cover events for the whole year. And last week's show was called Winners and Losers, and it covered all of the eclipses and new moons for 2018. And this week's show is called The Good Old Days. And that is because we can be referencing the good old days in 1 or 2 different ways this year. And that is because it is a year when there can be change due to a triple eclipse, or because 3 planets are changing signs, or because there's an unusual amount of light in the sky, particularly during January and March, when there are 2 full moons and a new moon as well. So very little can be hidden this year. And so we're just going to learn a lot more, and that can result in people who are winners and losers. But the reason tonight's show is called The Good Old Days is because there are 2 different types of people or groups of people that can be referencing that phrase this year, perhaps due to unrelenting challenges. And so if you have a planet anywhere in your chart that is in one of the 4 cardinal signs, it's you that will be facing unrelenting challenges. So if you have a planet in Aries, Cancer, Libra, or Capricorn, you are really going to be up against it, and you might be wishing for the kind of good old days that are represented by sort of easy times where you could just coast along. Or maybe you could have an attitude of, hey, you scratch my back, I'll scratch yours. Or if there's a mistake made, your friends could cover it up for you. And so you could be sort of doing as little as possible and trying to get as much benefit from it. Those good old days are certainly gone, but there are people that will be wishing they were back, and they won't be this year. And so those kinds of people are the ones that are really going to be facing unrelenting challenges in 2018. There is another group of people, though, that are going to be saying, oh, it's the good old days. What could they be referring to? Well, I want to give you 2 examples of what they're going to mean. In World War II, the War Department came to the Boeing company and they said, we need an airplane that is impossible because we need this and this and this and this. And so we know it's impossible, but we've got to have it. And somebody in the Boeing company simply said, oh, the impossible? That just takes a little longer, because they had a can-do attitude, and they did build the plane that was desired, even though they had to invent it and they had to test it, but they did it. And so that kind of can-do attitude can certainly represent the good old days, because it really made America great. And there's another example of that. For instance, during the Cold War, our history books tell us that there was a lot of pressure to put a man on the moon. Well, we'd never done that before either. But with a can-do attitude, we did it. And that type of willingness to face challenge and not admit defeat and to persevere and to go back and try something again and again, those can be the good old days for some people this year, because they're the kind of people that welcome a challenge, or they don't mind people that make them meet high expectations. And so if they face unrelenting challenges, it could simply be just an opportunity for them to do a little bit better. All right, what does this idea of the good old days mean to all 12 of the sun signs? Well, Aries, for you, I think since yours is a cardinal sign, you're going to be facing an uphill battle this year, Aries. And I'm sorry to say, I don't think that you're always going to win it. And in fact, as the year goes on, if you, particularly in April, around your birthday, and in August, when there are 3 planets in Capricorn that are overpoweringly strong, Saturn, the ruler of the sign, will be there. Mars, your own ruler, is exalted in Capricorn, and Pluto will be there as well. And they will all be squaring your sun sign where you have Uranus. But Uranus will be leaving your sign. In fact, on May 15th, when there's a new moon in Taurus, it will enter Taurus. And when it does, your burdens could increase. And that is because Uranus is a very volatile planet of sudden surprising change, and it will be in a financial sign. And so there is the possibility this year that you may decide to move. And you certainly will be wishing for the good old days, Aries, but they aren't coming back. And you would be facing defeat this year if you refuse to conform to the high expectations that other people are demanding. So if you don't want to face defeat and you don't want to meet high expectations, that might be the reason why you might consider a move this year. And that would maybe simplify your life. What does it mean to a Taurus? Well, Taurus, you could be wishing for those good old days when everything is easy, because there is the possibility that your finances will really fluctuate this year, because on May 15th, when there is a wonderful new moon in your sign, and remember the moon is exalted in your sign, Uranus, that planet of sudden change, will come into your sign for 7 years. And so that is why, since yours is a financial sign, your finances could fluctuate. It means they could really go up quite unexpectedly, but they might also go down unexpectedly as well. And this year it might be due to higher expenses, Taurus. In fact, around your birthday, there is the possibility, under that fabulous new moon, that you might decide on a career change of some sort. And it might be a promotion or just a better job with more money. So that could be coming your way. So, you know, the money sort of comes and goes for you this year, Taurus. You may not mind that much, because maybe this will be a year when you are deciding to sort of move on up to better things, a better neighborhood or a better car or something like that. But Uranus will be in your sign for 7 years, and this year it will be opposing immediately Jupiter in Scorpio, the other fixed financial sign. That's why I hope you try real hard to hang on to your money this year, Taurus, and don't gamble with anything. Okay, what does it mean to a Gemini? Well, Gemini, this is a golden opportunity year for you, and the reason why is that all 5 of the eclipses either sextile or trine your sun sign. And so you're going to face far less opposition than you have had in the last few years when Saturn was in Sagittarius opposing your sun sign, because it's not doing that anymore, Gemini. And also, since all of the eclipses either sextile or trine your sun, it simply means you're going to have a lot more good opportunities to advance. That will make you happy. And in fact, by the very harsh lunar eclipse in Aquarius on July 27th, with 6 planets in the fixed signs all squaring each other, in other words, there's going to be a lot of people that are heavy hitters that are coming at each other at that time. I think instead, since the lunar eclipse in Aquarius trines your sun, that you are going to really jump into some wonderful new opportunity that is going to be far more rewarding than you can possibly imagine, Gemini. So you really ought to take it, because no matter how gratifying you think it will be 10 times that. It will be great. And it will be wonderful for your future aspirations as well. Okay, what does it mean to a Cancer? Well, Cancer, this is a year, since yours is a cardinal sign, and the pressure from the planets in Capricorn, another cardinal sign, are going to put pressure on all of the 4 cardinal signs: Aries, your sign, Libra, and Capricorn. So it's wonderful for you, Cancer, that Jupiter in Scorpio is trining your sun this year, at least until November, and so is Neptune in Pisces, because they can lend you a lot of support or help, and you're going to need it, Cancer, particularly in the months of April and August, which are extremely dangerous months for everyone, so you have to be on your guard. However, on July 13th, there is a wonderful solar eclipse in your sign, Cancer, at 21 degrees, and it too is being trined by Jupiter in Scorpio and Neptune in Pisces. So there can be the opportunity of a lifetime for you at that time, or the possibility of a very good move for you, Cancer, and I hope you take it, because otherwise I think that you are going to be facing some setbacks, and as I said, particularly in April and August, and this is a year when you're going to need a backup, Cancer, so I hope you have one. All right, what does it mean to a Leo? Well, Leo, you're certainly going to be wishing that it was the good old days. Those good old days where everything was sort of easy and you could just coast along. But those days are really over. And in fact, you're going to have to be very careful with your finances, even for the next 7 years, Leo. And that is because when Uranus enters Taurus on May 15th, it will be squaring your sun. But this year, Jupiter in Scorpio is already squaring your sun. And so that simply means that with these planets opposing each other in fixed financial signs and squaring your sign and the sign of Aquarius, that the good old days are really over. And yes, your finances will fluctuate as well, and your expenses could really increase anytime after the middle of May when Uranus enters Taurus. So it can be sort of easy come, easy go this year. This is a year when you really shouldn't gamble because you could lose your shirt, Leo. And in fact, you are going to be facing very stiff resistance in the months of February and July. And so that is why you can't afford to gamble or take a risk at all. Play it safe this year, Leo. And although this can be a year of unrelenting challenges for you, particularly since the good old days are not coming back, at the same time, in November, when Jupiter enters Sagittarius, it will begin to trine your sun, and 2019 will be much better for you. Okay, what does it mean to a Virgo? Well, Virgo, after the awful setbacks and delays that you experienced in 2017 and all the worry that it caused you, in 2018, you couldn't lose, Virgo. And the reason why is because there are often times when there are a lot of planets in the earth signs and they will all be trining your sign. And that will be very good for you. And in fact, after May 15th, when Uranus enters Taurus, it will be trining your sign for 7 years. And that means your investments could certainly improve at very unexpected times and in surprising ways, but they would improve. And also, until 2020, Saturn and Pluto are trining your sun sign as well. And because they are heavy-duty planets and they will be joined in April and in August by Mars, which is exalted in Capricorn, the tremendous power of these planets, since they will be trining your sun, simply mean, Virgo, that you are going to be the favorite of someone who is very demanding. But that won't bother you at all. And the reason why is that you're going to look at the high expectations of others and the demands to excel as a way of it being the good old days when America had a can-do spirit, and no matter what seemed impossible, the problems were solved and success was achieved. And that's what's headed for you this year, Virgo, so congratulations. You may not have it so smooth or easy, but I think you're really going to love whatever demands are made on you, and that's why you're going to be the favorite of somebody who is very high up, and that will secure your long-term future for a long time to come. Okay, what does it mean to a Libra? Well, Libra, this is a year when you may develop a health problem, and I think it's going to be stress-related, Libra, and it certainly will be treatable, but that stress could come from the fact that yours is a cardinal sign, and all 4 cardinal signs are going to be facing unrelenting challenges this year, particularly because of the strength of planets in Capricorn. And so, Libra, I'm sorry to say, the honeymoon is over for you this year as you struggle to meet the demands of people in your career. And no matter how much charm and tact you employ, Libra, it's going to fall on deaf ears. So don't try to be a real people pleaser this year. Instead, you're going to have to just try as hard as you can to deliver the goods, because all people want to see this year are results. And so it's wonderful that at the end of the summer, in fact, during the eclipse in Aquarius, the lunar eclipse in Aquarius on July 27th, it will trine your sun. And that will mean that there can be some wonderful sudden breakthrough that occurs either at the end of July or in early fall. And I hope you take it, Libra, because you'll richly deserve it. Okay, what does it mean to a Scorpio? Well, Scorpio, this is a time when, for the first half of the year, you are going to be in control. After all, Jupiter is in your sign until November 8th. But on May 15th, under a fabulous new moon in Taurus, Uranus, that planet of unexpected, surprising change, will enter Taurus, and it will begin to oppose your sun where you have Jupiter. And in fact, after Jupiter moves on November 8th, Uranus will still be opposing your sun for 7 years. And so your finances could fluctuate at any time, and I think what that means is that particularly in the second half of the year, your expenses will certainly rise. And my advice to you is don't count the money until it's in your hand for the whole next 7 years, Scorpio, because unexpected glitches could occur. And so you've got to watch out for that. And this is a time that you can be severely challenged, just as Taurus can be, by the 4 eclipses that occur in fixed signs this year. There will be 2 in Leo, squaring your sun, and there will be 2 in Aquarius, also squaring your sun. And so times can get a little tougher for you, and tough decisions will have to be made. And you surely can be wishing for the good old days, Scorpio, but they are never coming back. So good luck. Okay, what does it mean to a Sagittarius? Well, Sagittarius, it may seem to you this year as if you're waking up from some bad dream. And the reason why is that Saturn has been in your sun sign, causing you grief and delay and maybe even a little depression for the last 2.5 or 3 years. So I'm not thinking that you've been particularly happy during that time frame, but now Saturn has moved on and it's in Capricorn right ahead of your sun sign. And so, Sagittarius, this year, the course that you take will be slower, but a lot more steady. And in fact, if you could push the deadline for a cherished goal out until 2020, when Saturn finally leaves Capricorn, then the sacrifices that you're making this year and until 2020 can really bring you success, and they can benefit you greatly. So I hope that you consider that. Since yours is a fire sign and fire signs like to move fast, you may make a mistake at one time or another this year by moving too fast. That's not the way the year is supposed to go. It's supposed to go slow and steady. So be patient with yourself. And in fact, when Jupiter moves into your sun sign on November 8th and stays there for a whole year, Sagittarius, you really are going to have an abundance of good luck and opportunities, particularly in 2019. Okay, what does it mean to a Capricorn? Well, Capricorn, despite the delays and the setbacks that you could incur this year, since yours is a cardinal sign, and there are strong planets, Saturn and Pluto, in your sign, and they will be joined particularly in April and August by Mars as well, and Mars is exalted. It simply means with these very powerful planets in your sign, particularly during these 2 dangerous months, April and August, that you need to be very careful not to overdo something, because the person you could trip up would be you, Capricorn. And so if you think that you can, they're all charged up and you want to sort of go too far, I advise you to step back. This is not the year to do it, even if you think you do have all the strength and the right answers. Don't do that, because if you take it slow and steady, then you will be very happy with your choices by 2020 when Saturn leaves your sign. And in fact, by May 15th, when Uranus goes into Taurus for 7 years and trines your sign where all those planets are, you will be absolutely unstoppable. So it's going to be a power year for you, Capricorn, by the time Uranus trines your sun in May. Okay, what does it mean to an Aquarian? Well, Aquarius, this year is really going to involve a lot of change for you, Aquarius. And part of the reason is because there are 4 eclipses in the fixed signs, and they will all directly affect you. 2 of them are in your sign, but the other 2 are in Leo, and that they will oppose your sun sign. And so, particularly under the very harsh lunar eclipse in your sign, Aquarius, on July 27th at 5 degrees of Aquarius, There will be 6 planets in a harsh grand cross in the fixed signs, and that means that a lot of people are going to be heavy hitters. They're going to be really letting out all the stops, causing a lot of commotion, and that is when you are going to understand that you are really up against it and that the good old days are never coming back. And so you are facing a different kind of the end to the year. And that is because, for one thing, an old debt has to be paid this year, Aquarius, and money changes hands in the fall for you. And I want to urge you to do the right thing. You'll have to, because you can't go back to the way you had it before. Okay, what does it mean to a Pisces? Well, Pisces, this is a year when a secret comes out and there isn't going to be any way to cover it back up or hide it in any way. So it's rather lucky for you, Pisces, that Jupiter is in Scorpio for most of the year, at least until November, and it is trining Neptune in your own sign. And since Scorpio is a fixed financial sign, that simply means that you may be able to benefit from some increased financial assistance this year. And that is good because you've had it rather a challenging time, even a depressing time in the last 2 or 3 years, while Saturn in Sagittarius was continually squaring your sun sign. But that planet is gone right now, and so the pressure can be easing up in your life, Pisces. And I think by Christmas, the worst will be over for you. And so you need to make the most of a time when things can lighten up for you, particularly because you're not going to be as burdened by problems that you have had in the last 2 or 3 years. At least by Christmas, they will have pretty much all straightened out, which is going to be good for you. Okay, thanks so much for tuning in. Remember, you can see the show and hear our podcast if you'd like to subscribe to it on our website, starborninstitute.org. Bye.